This is Franchise Today, brought to you by FRM Solutions, providers of the best-in-class software solutions for franchise relationship management. Franchise Today is your destination for weekly information, conversations, and interviews with accomplished industry leaders, all of whom share best practices for sustainable growth and sensible franchising. Here now, your host, Stan Friedman, to kick off this week's podcast.
Today is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024. I'm Stan Friedman, and this is Franchise Today. Well, before we dive into today's conversation with Anago Franchising CEO Adam Povlitz, we need to spend a minute revisiting how, last week, during National Small Business Week, President Joe Biden vetoed H.J. Resolution 98, the Congressional Review Act, a bipartisan effort to overturn the harmful NLRB joint employer standard, totally ignoring the needs of Main Street USA. In a press release last Friday, the International Franchise Association released the following statement in response after 5,300 franchise community leaders from all 50 states sent a petition to the White House last month, urging President Biden to sign the legislation that protects small businesses. Matt Haller, president and CEO of the IFA, said, and I quote, "President Biden claims to be a champion for small businesses, but today he turned his back on franchising, a business model that's done more to put countless Americans into small business ownership, and in particular for traditionally underrepresented minorities, women, and veterans." Haller went on to say, the administration has solidified its position that it cares more about special interests than small business owners and their employees, who face a nearly daily onslaught of costs and uncertainties from the Biden administration's regulatory assault. The rule, issued in October 2023, would deem franchisors and franchisees jointly liable, taking away the independence of franchise owners, which is the very hallmark of the franchise business model. When a similar rule was issued in 2015, it cost franchise businesses $33.3 billion per year, resulting in 376,000 lost job opportunities and led to 93% more lawsuits. Last week's Biden veto follows bipartisan passage of H.J. Resolution 98 in the U.S. House in January and the U.S. Senate in April, which would have overturned the rule and prevented any future NLRB from issuing a similar rule. In addition, the 5th District of Texas struck down the rule following an IFA and coalition-led lawsuit taking aim at the NLRB for exceeding the scope of its authority and violating the Administrative Procedure Act by failing to respond to comments regarding the rule's harmful economic consequences. Well, what could have been and should have been over now looks to face a potentially long and uncertain legal road ahead, more as it becomes available. Shifting gears, my thanks again to Wing Snob CEO Brian Chania for stopping by last week. And Brian, listen for my call. I'm going to be making plans to meet you and your co-founder and partner, Jack Machini, in Buffalo this upcoming Labor Day weekend at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. And one last reminder in front of a break and my conversation with Anago Cleaning Franchise President and CEO Adam Povlitz, please drop by the website, make guest suggestions, download show notes and blog posts, and of course, leave us a review. You can do it all at franchisetodaypodcast.com. That said, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in 2 minutes or less with Adam Povlitz.
Franchise Today will be right back, but first, a word from our sponsors.
Franchisors of restaurants, bars, and grills, and multi-unit franchisees, listen up. This message is for you. If you're looking to engage guests, elevate profits, and enhance your customer experience, Atmosphere TV is the answer. What's Atmosphere, you ask? Atmosphere is the world's #1 streaming TV service for businesses, here to help you make more and save big on overpriced cable packages. Atmosphere provides you with a free programming option with some 40 engaging audio-optional channels designed to please customers and increase their average ticket. So, how does it work? Well, it's easy. Upon sign-on, Atmosphere sends you a free device loaded with eye-grabbing entertainment. From news and sports to viral videos and fuzzy animals, every channel is family-friendly and designed to keep your customers happy and engaged. Plus, thanks to Atmosphere's 100% audio-optional format, the programming is perfect for any setting, no matter how loud or busy. So, stop playing and paying overpriced cable. Go with free TV instead. Just go to atmosphere.tv/sign up and use the code franchise, and Atmosphere will waive the usual one-time $99 activation fee for your free-to-stream device. Visit Atmosphere online at atmosphere.tv, and remember, use the code franchise to waive your one-time activation fee. Visit atmosphere.tv to elevate your franchise's entertainment experience today. Since 1989, Anago has been making the dream of business ownership a reality. As CEO and president, Adam Povlitz is deeply passionate about fostering entrepreneurship and the financial freedom that comes with it. He firmly believes that entrepreneurship is the cornerstone of economic progress. At Anago, they provide aspiring business owners with turnkey solutions, enabling them to confidently navigate the complexities of entrepreneurship. Fueled by over 30 years of expertise, Anago is disrupting the commercial cleaning industry. Their business model is about helping entrepreneurs create their own businesses to provide jobs while building ties in their communities. Offering the possibility of financial and time independence is what they're all about. Witnessing families reach that success through their franchise business is Adam's ultimate reward. Adam Povlitz, welcome to Franchise Today.
Hey, Stan, how you doing? Happy to be here.
Living the dream, Adam. I'm living the dream, and I'm happy to have you here. I'm interested in your business model, and we're going to unpack all of that in a little while and learn more about how Anago does what Anago does. But we can't do that until we first begin learning about Adam and how it was that franchising discovered you, when it was. Why don't we start there? Because that's the way we do it every week.
Sure. I found franchising, or franchising found me. It was 2009. Technically, Stan, I was technically born into franchising because my father founded Anago in 1989. But I had no desire to get into the family business. No, that wasn't the route I was going to go. And I ended up working for IBM up in White Plains, New York area, and doing corporate finance. And I got hired in 2008. And then it was 2009, there was this huge round of layoffs during the depression that year. And I wasn't laid off. I was actually on I was a financial analyst, and I was on one of the teams that was reviewing all of the employees. We had employee numbers. We didn't have names. It was just, HG, 1, 2, 3, 4 or whatever. And we were deciding who was getting let go. And I happened to be home for the holidays and was talking to my dad about that and said, this is wild that I could very easily be on the other side of the table. And he said, well, man, I think I got this whole franchising thing figured out with our Anago company. You should come check it out. And it was about 6 months later that I ended up packing my bags yet again. I'm originally from Michigan, but grew up in South Florida. Moved to New York a year and a half later, moved back to Florida and got into franchising. It was late, probably August 2009.
Down in South Florida is where my franchise career began. I worked in radio for a great many years before getting into franchising, and WINZ, 94 News Wins, and Zeta 4 on the FM side were the two stations that I was with in South Florida.
Zeta.
Yeah, you can't live in South Florida and not know Zeta.
You also, Stan, if you know South Florida, you also have you could probably do the ads for Flanagan's, a place for ribs. You have, you have that booming voice.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. But we're not here to talk about my voice today. It's all about yours. So, all right. So this is a family business. I have to add the Povlitz name now because when I quip with my audience about franchising being unintentional, I usually add to that, unless, of course, your last name is Titus or Dwyer or somebody who's second or third generation. So I can now add the Povlitz name to that as well, can't I?
That's right. And so when I started, my dad, he goes, listen, you're leaving your highfalutin New York finance job, and you're working at a commercial cleaning franchise company. So your first job is going to be a telemarketer by day and a franchisee's assistant at night cleaning a daycare. And that was how I started. I was probably baptized by franchising that way.
So walk us up through some of the milestones over the years that you filled different roles in different chairs within the organization. Tell us about some of those.
Yeah. So I started, my first job, like I said, was at the very entry level positions. And that was in one of the South Florida regional franchise. I wasn't at the corporate office yet. I started at the South Florida region, and we can get into the model later, but I did telemarketing. I was cleaning at night. I eventually got promoted to do outside outside sales. I did customer service. And that was my first probably little over a year in the Anago business. Then when I came to the corporate office, I was, I think they gave me a title like franchise development or something like that. I just called it, my home was an airplane and a hotel. I was traveling the country, visiting all our master franchise locations. And because at this time I'm probably mid-20s, right? So I'm a young kid. What the heck do I know? I'm traveling the country. I know a little bit because I've operated within one of the regional franchise locations, but that's it. I have a finance background. So I had to take a real servant leadership approach to my visits and just make it very much like how can we help you? What else can the corporate office do to support you and help you grow your business? And I think I've carried that forward, so I've moved up through the ranks and I did mostly in the operational track, I guess if you call it. I've been in HR, I've been in operations, I've been in field support. When they promoted me to president was 2015, and the former president, he's this interesting cat. His name was Terry, and Terry was from West Virginia originally by way of Texas because he went to college at University of Texas. And so I'm not even going to attempt to apply his accent to how he said this, but it made it that much better. He got me a business card holder when he was retiring and I was appointed. And the business card holder said PUDSOBIC. And I go, Terry, what the heck is this? And he goes, because it stands for poor, unfortunate, dumb SOB in charge.
How funny is that?
and it's been a blast for 9 years.
So 9 years ago, you became president, and you're in a family business that had a president that wasn't a member of the family. So how did that work out? How did that look? I mean, he wanted to retire, so I guess you're next in line, or were there others that were vying for the role?
No. I think it was deliberately designed where I was heading in my career here. My father has always been someone. He's like the perennial entrepreneur. He's got 101 ideas every day, every hour, and then always needed someone to execute for him. And so he would come up with hey, what if we tried this? What if we checked this out? But he just didn't have a passion about running the day to day. So Terry had been president for probably 10 years by the time, maybe 12 years by the time Terry retired. So my dad and I's relationship was definitely, at the beginning it was very interesting, right? Because my dad was one of those, he always was working and super busy. And finally, we're working together, and he always had to put his 2 cents in. Well, you try it like this, do it like this, do it like that. And finally, it took me a few years of being the president of the company to being like, look, we're getting to record growth numbers, record profit numbers. I'm not doing it your way. My way's working. but that's after probably 8 years at the company. You go like I get that this is your other baby, but I promise I'll take care of it.
What's the history behind the name of the company? It's an odd sounding name, but it seems like it might be an acronym for something else or a combination of names or something. What was the history there? So
it is kind of an odd sounding name, isn't it? Anago. And always it's funny because people always pronounce it Anago. And we joke because if you, on the trademark register, when we registered the trademark, we actually had to disclaim the word Anago, which is also spelled the same, but in Japanese it means eel. So it's like, well, if you're looking for some phenomenal sushi, grab some Anago. But if you're looking for your office to be cleaned, it's Anago. But so yeah, Anago, it's a Greek Latin origin from the word anagogi, and it actually means to guide or uplift. And so we've taken that to mean, that how we work with our franchisees, that it's our role to guide and uplift them as they, live the American dream of small business ownership.
And you do touch a lot of people's souls, I guess, with the point of entry being as low as it is. And we'll talk a little about that on the other side of a break. But there's almost nobody that can afford to own an Anago franchise if this is the business that they chose to be in. And I think that when I looked last, you ended in 2023 with 1,800 plus unit level franchisees.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's a definite unique model that allows for kind of, it's almost two business models in one franchise, but with the master franchise and the unit franchise. And, the master franchise being more the white collar, high level investment where you could do, be an absentee owner or semi absentee. And it's the white collar aspect of the cleaning business. But then there's also has to be the blue collar aspect, right? Someone's got to get out there and run the cleaning business, hire the crew, learn the chemicals and the equipment, and we can get people into that at a significantly lower price point. So it just allows a lot of people to be able to be in business for themselves.
Well, we're going to come back from a break and talk about that as we continue the conversation today with Adam Povlitz, CEO of Anago Franchise Incorporated and Anago Cleaning Systems, with a unique business model that most franchisors in the U.S. haven't followed, but we're going to learn how this company's success has been built around master franchising domestically in the USA. I'm Stan Friedman. This is Franchise Today. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Franchise Today will be right back. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Franchise Today is brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering the only CRM tool built exclusively for franchising that lets you have it your way. Whether you're a single brand needing professional tools across departments or a portfolio of brands needing franchise-specific CRM across the enterprise, either way, FRM satisfies the needs of many with the power of one. That's right, one single instance of FRM is all it takes across departments or across brands. So if you've had it with inflexible, one-size-fits-all CRM, end your frustration today. FRM offers robust dashboarding, tailored reporting, and with open APIs, FRM pushes, pulls, and integrates with other databases, providing you with a single source of truth. Don't just take my word for it. Visit them at frmsolutions.com and order up a demo today. And we are back with Adam Povlitz, CEO of Anago Cleaning Systems and Anago Franchising. So, Adam, we kind of went into break with a tease about how you go about franchising, which domestically, I don't really know too many companies in the franchise world that employ the master franchising model at home. So give us the backstory on your dad's plan when he began franchising and how that rolled out here at home.
Yeah, so when he started franchising, he opened the company in 89. It was actually a traditional cleaning business, essentially. By 1991, all they were doing is what we would call the unit franchise. So he ran the office. There wasn't a master franchise or anything, but he was just running the office in South Florida and essentially acting as a master franchise, even though it wasn't called that at the time. And what they did is they have a sales team. They're out soliciting B2B commercial cleaning contracts, but they do no cleaning. They would then sell unit franchises. And these are people, like I mentioned earlier, where they're looking to get into business. It's a low barrier to entry, low cost business. But maybe you don't, it's not rocket science, the actual cleaning itself. But if you're going to start a cleaning business, what ends up happening is you go, okay, you say Stan wants to start a cleaning business, and you go, okay, great. And you go, what do you need? And you go, I'm going to get a mop and a bucket and a vacuum. And okay, great. Well, where are you going to get your first customer? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I gotta get a website, and I gotta hire a salesman, and I gotta knock on some doors. And so what we've created is a way where someone with no business experience, essentially the business side of it experience, can get into business for themselves, and we can train them on how best practices in cleaning, best practices in hiring and recruiting, get them all the training on all the chemicals and equipment, and it allows our model to segment things really nicely. Because for the same reason, if I said, I'm going to keep picking on you, Stan, but if someone said, Stan, you're a phenomenal cook, you should start a restaurant, and maybe you are a phenomenal cook, I don't know, but you go, okay, you get in the kitchen and you start cooking stuff, and you go, okay, wait a minute, before I get here, I gotta negotiate a lease, and I gotta hire staff, and I gotta promote my restaurant to get people here, and I gotta deal with inventory and spoilage and turnover and boom, 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 boom. And you go, wait a minute, I just wanted to cook. I don't want to do all this nonsense. This is crazy. I don't know anything about that. Our model is designed so that when someone is buying a unit franchise, they don't have to do any sales, any invoicing of clients, any collections of any outstanding bills. oils. All they have to do is learn the cleaning business, and that's chemicals, equipment, recruiting, and proper customer service. It keeps it very simple. While simultaneously, the master franchise, they're doing, you can almost think about it like the day job and the night job, right? Because most commercial cleaning is done at night. So you can think of it like the unit is handling the nighttime aspects, and the master franchise, right? They don't do any cleaning, but they have a sales staff. They're the ones that have the website and the PPC budgets, and they're using call centers to set appointments. They have an accounting staff that's going to invoice all the customers and make sure they're all collected from. And so it creates a really cool synergy where essentially, if you were to create your own cleaning business from scratch, you'd be operating 24/7. You're working all day trying to get customers and invoice them, and then working all night keeping them clean. So this allows it to break apart the night and the day into two entirely separate businesses, and really two different business models that then synergize to support each other and help each other minimize their respective overhead.
So I'm real familiar with sub-franchising. I'm real familiar with area development, but master franchising to me has a different connotation. Don't they then own the trademark or a share in the trademarks with you? Are they not the franchisor of the territories that they purchased?
So correct. So if you want to think of it from a hierarchical structure, we're the most franchises, right? You think of it as the 2-tier franchise, or like the area developer franchise where they own a location. Ours is a little spin on the area developer model. So the someone will own, you're in Atlanta, someone will own, I don't even know how many counties. It's a lot of counties around greater Atlanta. That's the master franchise. And within that territory, he is a sub-franchisor. So he is also selling those unit franchises within the Atlanta metro area. And when there's a royalty that's paid to him from those unit franchises, and then there's a royalty that's paid to us based on his revenues. And so yes, it's a way. I think it's a unique way, because look, the best kept secret in franchising, in my opinion, is that nobody talks about, right? Because everyone talks about, oh, maybe it's this model, maybe it's that model, maybe it's restaurants, maybe it's gyms, maybe it's, I don't know, puppy franchises are popular right now. The best kept secret in franchising is that franchising itself is a moneymaker, right? Because it's all, yes, it's a lot of support and a lot of investment that are needed. But at the end of the day, being able to sell a franchise and collect royalties off of any franchises you've sold is a revenue stream. And so if we allow if the unit franchise is the low cost, low investment, non-rocket science franchise that you can get into, they're going to pay a royalty to the master franchise, who's going to handle all the day-to-day business aspects of it. And they're going to pay a franchise fee when they buy in. So the master is also able to partake in franchise fees and royalties, just like when we sell a new master franchise, we partake in a franchise fee and royalties. Everyone gets a bite along the way.
I guess the place where I'm still not sure, but I'm clearly in sync with my comprehension. And I'll use Blimpie as a great example, because that was a company that I worked for that employed a similar model. But what you're calling masters, we called sub-franchisors. And their agreements with us as sub-franchisors did not give them any title or right to our trademarks other than our permission to use them, just like a unit-level franchisee would use the trademarks. But when we sold countries, we called them our master franchisees, and they were granted the franchise rights completely for the country that they were being granted. And so they were the franchisor in England, not me. In the U.S., our sub-franchisors didn't sign franchise agreements with their candidates. The franchise agreements were signed with us, Blimpie International, and the sub-franchisor shared in the revenue on the initial and recurring revenue streams, but it was passed through. He wasn't the franchisor. He was the sub-franchisor. Here, what I'm hearing is different or the same.
Yeah, so I think that helps clarify. It's really a hybrid of both of those. So in Atlanta, while I am the ultimate franchisor, any unit franchisees that buy in Atlanta are not buying from me. They're buying from the person that owns the master franchise in Atlanta. So he is the franchisor there, and then I am the ultimate franchisor for the Anago brand.
So do they sign as an Anago unit level franchisee with the corporate entity that owns the rights to the territory in the 15 counties? Or are they signing direct with corporate, and then the sub-franchisor is the person that they roll up to in this region?
The first one. They're signing directly with the local owner, the local master owner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it is as I thought it was, which again, it is rather unique. I mean, it's not there are not a great many companies that do that domestically. The idea is that you bring a master on, worst case scenario, and we never want to think worst case, right? But what if a country doesn't make it or a country folds? Well, that country knows it, but your brand is still vibrant and doing great everywhere else. If you have somebody locally that fails, and they own the rights, it's harder to recover from that or not have that impact your brand elsewhere where it's doing fine. But look, you've got 1875 units. And how many are there that are masters that are running those units?
48 across US and Canada.
Yeah. And over 30 years in business and franchising since 2009.
So franchising at the unit level just in South Florida starting in 91. 1999 is when the first master franchise was sold. So 25 years of master franchising. See why we have to be, there's only, you go, oh geez, only 40, 48. But like you said, because it is that model, where a lot of the success of a region, depends heavily on how well we've selected and partnered with a master franchise owner for a particular market is crucial. So we would rather do that extremely slowly, do a ton of due diligence as this is aptly named, and really make sure we know the person and know that they're going to be a good fit. Because once someone owns a particular market, it's a huge market, and if they're not successful in it, it's not like I can just open more over top of it, and just say, I'll put more restaurants next door. Can't do it. So that's it. Does it definitely slows things down in terms of our approval process, because we have to be extremely diligent, for lack of a better word again.
Well, it's not the model that I would go to market with, but who am I to argue with success? And nothing succeeds like success. If we've got 25 years of successful history doing it this way, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just different.
I don't know if I would have gone to market with it either. I think it found me, like you said.
Yeah.
It's a wild one.
So how often do these guys all get together, or these guys and women? Who is the ideal candidate for one of these master territories?
So, typically it tends to be men, but we have probably a good mix of women. I don't think there's any particular demographic or anything like that comes to mind. But for us, the best fit for someone who's a master franchise, I was actually talking to someone the other day about that. It's the old African proverb where they say every morning the lion wakes up and has to outrun the slowest gazelle, or it doesn't eat, and the gazelle has to wake up and outrun the fastest lion, or it gets eaten. But everybody wakes up running. I think that is how I would describe a master franchise. It's definitely not a farmer model, right? Build it and till the land, and it's very much a hunter model. It's someone who gets up and brings on. It's all right. Let's talk to the sales team. Where are we at? How are our leads coming through? Who's got anything closing soon? But at the same time, as a market matures, you have to strike the balance, right? So if a new market, probably it's extremely focused on sales. A mature market, it's all about customer service. Now you're farming. Now you have a good base of customers, and you have to have people who are day after day making sure that customers are happy. There's no issues. In our business, when someone goes silent and you haven't heard from them for months, we don't treat that like a good thing. We go, okay, we better pay a visit and check in, make sure everything's going well, everyone's happy. But it's an ideal master franchise is someone who's extremely driven, is what I would say in our model.
If the rest of the industry, and when I say the industry, I mean the franchising world, if the rest of the franchising world has struggled through some of the challenges brought upon us by joint employment regulations, I have to believe with the level of engagement and involvement that you've got into the businesses of those at the unit level, there had to be some real extreme tension through some of that legislation. Would I be correct in that assumption?
I've jokingly said, I've had to write and rewrite our business model multiple times. It's tough when you're trying to be an extremely supportive franchisor, and a lot of these things from the NLRB and the DOL and all that come about for due to maybe less favorably treated franchisees or governmental agencies that frankly don't know that much about how franchising works. It's always a wild thing when the government comes out with some new regulation. I think we've done a really good job at making crystal clear what are our system requirements versus best practices, recommendations, that sort of thing. And it's tough when when someone asks you when one of your franchisees for years how to handle an HR situation, for example, and you go, I'm going to have to tell you to defer to an attorney or an HR professional. I just can't give you the advice like I used to. It is something that I think everyone in franchising has to dance around a little bit, because you don't want to blur that line, but at the same time, you want to help your people.
No doubt. Adam, it's been an interesting peek into the world that you live in, and I've enjoyed getting educated and learning more about Anago's processes and systems. Is there anything before I ask you for contact info that I haven't asked you today that you wished I did?
One thing I like to touch on always is, because people always say, what makes you guys different, right? Okay, cleaning, great. One of the things that we've realized is that there's not going to be any differentiation in our world in terms of the technology around cleaning, right? We all, everyone has the same, backpack vacuums and concentrated chemicals and microfibers and that sort of stuff. But one thing I do want to call out is what I would say what made us different is we've invested heavily in our technology around customer service. And the reason I say this is because if you go to a restaurant, right, you can have one of three experiences. You can have a delightful experience. Food's, waitress is wonderful. You can have a terrible experience, right? Food's cold, waiters are jerk, or you can kind of have just some middle of the road, whatever experience at a restaurant. In commercial cleaning, you have one of two experiences. There's no delight experience. Nobody gets in and goes, oh my goodness, my building is so clean, I'm going to get my janitor a birthday present. They either get in and go, well, I got to work, and they don't think about it whatsoever, or they come in and go, why is my trash can still full? Why is why are there still smudges on my desk? And so we've realized that, the best time in our business to make a friend is when that inevitable moment comes where a mistake is made, right? So we're extremely recession resistant, because, you're not gonna export my business to China. Amazon doesn't come to town and replace all the cleaning businesses. When recessions do come, offices typically remain open. And when they don't, we come up with a whole disinfection line during COVID, like we did to ensure people's safety. But because a human has to walk into your building to clean it, and we're all human and we all make mistakes, there's an inevitable moment that's going to come, and we're going to make a mistake, just like any cleaning company. And so we've invested in software that was proprietary to us called CleanCom. And that's our difference maker. It's all about the customer, where if you have an issue, the old school way is literally, it's like, okay, we gotta find the phone number, see if we can get a hold of somebody, or sometimes they have like a book, where's the janitor's book? And we'll leave a note in the book, and hey, does anybody speak that language? I don't speak that language. Can you write a note for me on that? And it just turns into this mess. And so we've realized that the speed to which we resolve any issues is the most crucial thing. CleanCom is set up where if you have an issue, you take a picture using our CleanCom app on your phone, you mark which area it's in, you leave a note in whatever language you speak. It's all private communication. You're not giving your cell phone number out or anything like that. The franchise owner, the unit franchise owner who cleans your building is going to get a text message that tells him or her that there's an issue. It's going to tell them exactly where it is. There's going to be a picture of it. There's going to be a note. It translates into whatever language that they prefer to read it in, and they can respond to you. And it's actually built in with a guaranteed 2-hour response time, so that you as the customer know that you're going to get something back very quickly from the business that's cleaning your office. And so that for us is something that we've invested a lot of time, a lot of money in, to make sure that at the end of the day, right, I think this business is probably 30% cleaning, 70% people. We've spent our money and time and effort and technological investment on focusing on that person, that customer experience. And that's what we've done with CleanCom. That's what I would say makes us different from all the other, mom and pop cleaning companies or other franchise brands out there, is that it's all about people.
Well, with that said, why don't you tell people how they can find you to learn more? Because that's a carrot that you've just dangled. It's going to probably incite some interest. How do people find you, Adam?
Yeah, we're at anagocleaning.com, ANAGO cleaning.com. We're on every single social media that I can think of, and it's always /Anago Cleaning. And then I'm also, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so just Adam Povlitz, and shoot me a message. I'm happy to chat with you or grab a coffee or something and talk to you more about the Anago model and what maybe it can do for you.
Appreciate you sharing with us here today, Adam, and for enlightening us. I know that people in your business say, well, it's not the sexiest business in the world, but it sure is a profitable one, and it's a testament to the leadership, I suppose, that you've grown as nicely as you have. Adam Povlitz, CEO at Anago, Cleaning and Franchising. Thanks for joining us on Franchise Today.
Thanks, Dan. Great to be here.
Well, that's a wrap for this week. Next week, I'm back with either Tim Murphy, CEO of Family Entertainment Center up-and-comer Boomers Parks, or Keith Gerson, longtime friend, one-time frenemy, and now CEO of his newly minted Gerson Advisory Services. I'm not quite certain which one drops first, but in either event, I'm back next week to do it all again. Until then, I'm Stan Friedman wishing you the best, the very best of all things franchising, and Franchise Today is out.
Franchise Today is a production of FRM Solutions, providing best-in-class CRM tools to empower relationships with prospective and existing franchisees. Find them online at frmsolutions.com. Join Stan every Wednesday at noon Eastern for another episode of Franchise Today.
When it's PCS time, you know the drill. Pack, research the new base, get the kids in school, because family supports family. At American Public University, we support military families with flexible, affordable online education that moves with you. As a military spouse, your tuition rate is the same as your partner's, just $250 per credit hour. American Public University, education that moves with you. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.